What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're here for a brand new Madden 25 off-season rebuild. And as voted on by you guys, it's time. We got to rip this Band-Aid off. Every team we've rebuilt to this point needed a rebuild. But we are a Philadelphia Eagles channel at its core. Have a lot of Philadelphia Eagle fans on this channel. It is time to rebuild my favorite team. I don't want to say our favorite team because a lot of people probably watching this aren't Eagles fans. It's time though. I'm planning on doing a off-season rebuild for all 32 teams. Why not just rip that Band-Aid off? Let me enjoy my Eagles rebuild. Let me have a little fun with the new players that we got coming in. Usually with these rebuilds, we want to try to get one Super Bowl in 5 years. And if we can't get that one Super Bowl in 5 years, we will go and take kind of the L there a little bit. But to try to give a happy ending, we will go between 6 and 10 seasons to get that one Super Bowl. Because of the state of this Eagles roster, I'm setting my goal for the first 5 years. I need 2. And I'll be pretty pissed, honestly, if I don't get 3 Super Bowl wins when all is said and done. The Philadelphia Eagles are as close to a super team as you're going to get in today's NFL. And from a Madden standpoint, maybe a little more difficult. You know, it's always been, trust me, I'm an Eagles fan. I know this every year. And if you're an Eagles fan, you play Madden, you know this every year. In real life, we have Howie Roseman. He can do wonders with the salary cap. That never translates well to Madden, and you're usually in a dire situation with your salary cap. And that becomes the challenge of rebuilding the Philadelphia Eagles. However, after this past offseason, Philly lost a lot of talent. Philly did not spend crazy money. We let the Milton Williams go to the Patriots. We let Josh Sweat go to the Cardinals. We traded away Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because he's too much money. We lost Mekhi Becton. Bunch of guys that got a bag. There is a reason, and we'll get to that in just 1 second when we get to the defense. But I actually am kind of, interested in what an Eagles rebuild is going to feel like, where it's not, holy crap, I have to cut players just so I can play next season because my cap's so bad. Taking a look at our roster, I'm going to try my best not to just glaze my favorite team for the next 5 minutes. Philadelphia has arguably, we'll say to make it non-confrontational, the best offensive line in football. We have question at right guard after losing Mekhi Becton. Jeff Stoutland, the best O-line coach in the league, took Mekhi Becton on a 1 year, he's a bust from the Jets, made him a guard. And what was he, a Pro Bowl alternate? Got a big bag from the Chargers. So what Philadelphia went ahead to do is we traded away the emotional leader of this team in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the Houston Texans for Kenyon Green, a former first-round pick, was graded out, if you believe in PFF grades, as like the worst starting lineman in the league last year. But he still only is 24 years old. So that's the same age as some of the guys that were in last year's draft class. And he enters with still first-round traits as a new member of Jeff Stoutland U. So I'm going to go with him as a starter at right guard. It's going to be a big battle in training camp between him and Tyler Steen. But we'll just see. But there's a question right there at right guard. The other question is Lane Johnson. I think, biasly, the best tackle in football. He's 35 years old. I think in real life, he said he's going to play like 2-3 more years. Sick. Absolutely. Literally is no signs of slowing down. He's probably going to retire after year 1. I'd be very surprised if we get 2 years out of Lane Johnson, and we don't really have a successor in place. They drafted Cam Williams, the tackle from Texas. We got Holland Pierce, tackle from Rutgers. Like a couple guys, even Tyler Steen played tackle in college. So we have some options. We don't really have a Lane Johnson successor, so there's a concern. Right-hand side of the O-line, slight concern. Tight end. Most Philadelphia Eagle fans thought Dallas Goedert was going to get traded. I think how the tight end board fell during the 2025 NFL draft changed the Eagles' minds, and that is how spoiled my favorite team is. My favorite team is within the context of Madden, I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of surprised Dallas Goedert had a superstar dev. But that is my Eagles. I guess we'll keep the 87 superstar tight end. I guess we'll keep the guy that had one of the most disgusting touchdown runs in the playoffs over the Green Bay Packers. Suck it, Packers. Tush push. You suck. Where Dallas Goedert hit a ridiculous stiff arm on a 40-yard touch. He's awesome. But also, he's 30 years old, so there's a reason why Philly was probably willing to trade him. And especially in a Madden context, it is going to be all downhill from here for Dallas Goedert. And Calcaterra is, kind of a guy, but don't really have a successor in place there as well. So there's something for a cause for concern. Outside of that, I will say maybe the depth at wide receiver. Jahan Dotson's 5th-year option was declined, so he's on a contract year. Give the 6'7" Johnny Wilson at 6'8". But we don't really have a lot of wide receiver depth, but do we need it? As long as we can operate with 90 superstar Devontae Smith, who is in his prime, A.J. Brown, 96 X Factor, as long as both these guys can get 1,000 yards every single year, which I'm hoping, I'm optimistic, I'm going to be fine with our skill position spots there. At running back, yeah. How is he not a 99? I will say on the same regard of I don't think Dallas Goedert should probably be a superstar. I'm going to say, how is Saquon Barkley not a 99? They literally modded in his hurdle. That's how sick. I mean, he's got to get the cover. And we're going to have to do everything in our power, reverse power, to avoid the Madden curse. We got Jalen Hurts, 89, superstar, beast. How about this? If you're going to put Saquon Barkley and you're going to go all in, like, oh, let's go to the hurdle, look at all this stuff. Can we put the tush push in the game? Only on the Eagles playbook? Please. Not too much to ask. Please. If you got to put Saquon on the cover and try to curse my team, at the very minimum, you can add the tush push instead of the stupid QB sneak. Please and thank you. Back of the box feature. Okay? Now looking at our defense. I said all along, Philly did not sign anybody. We probably aren't going to be in a bad salary cap spot because we had to save up money to pay this man. Jalen Carter, if you've been living on a rock, there's an argument, and I'll say that for everything, so it's not just I'm coming off as biased. Argument to make, he's the best young defender in the football. I think Philly's going to make him the highest paid defender in the league next year. So that's why we just let everyone walk. Baby Rhino, Jalen Carter, there is an argument made he's the most talented player I might have ever seen on the defensive side of the ball for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, from where he's at year 2 to where his ceiling could be. Like, it's obviously he's technically like the successor to Fletcher Cox. And Fletcher Cox, I'll actually say also kind of surprisingly, Fletcher Cox was elite. He just played at the same time that Aaron Donald played, so you don't recognize really how good Fletcher Cox was. But you can go on like Pro Football Reference and look at what the grades are of every D tackle that's made the Hall of Fame. And Fletcher Cox is like right there. Fletcher Cox is eventually going to get in the Hall of Fame. I think Jalen, and I was here for the whole Fletcher Cox career. When Fletcher Cox got drafted out of Mississippi State, that was when I was starting to make draft content. And that was like the first ever player that I made a video being like, he's my dream pick, but there's no way we're going to get it. And then we traded up and got Fletcher Cox. I think Jalen Carter is better. That's my way of saying Fletcher Cox is iconic. He's a legend. And I think Jalen Carter is going to be better when all is said and done. That being said, that's probably the biggest challenge that we're going to have with this Eagles roster is how are we going to pay him and then still be able to maintain and pay everybody else. It's going to be very difficult. You got Jordan Davis, who's starting to play some of his best. That's another thing good with the defense for Philadelphia is we lost some guys on this defensive front. But I would say Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo, Jalix Hunt, and Nolan Smith, all, especially late season into the playoffs, were playing the best football of their career. So the optimism that Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, and Moro Jomo, as well as Jordan Davis, who just got his 5th-year option picked up, are all going to continue to ascend, and that is going to be huge for this defense. We got the exciting whites, 83 superstar for DeJean, 80 star dev for Reed Blankenship. We got Sidney Brown, 2nd-round pick Andrew Mukuba, who we're going to have all, I want to get them all on the field. And maybe there's a little bit of Canadian bias, me wanting to see Sidney Brown out there. I'm going to have Sidney Brown start, and Mukuba's going to be our nickel. No, I can't do that. Can I do that? Maybe I do that. Maybe I make him the nickel and I say, screw it, let's put Cooper DeJean on the outside. I think I'm going to start with that. Why not? It's Madden. Also, probably if I had to be also unbiased, you probably should have Quinyon Mitchell be the superstar and DeJean being the star based off last year. I'm not going to complain. And then we got the middle linebacker, Zach Bond, who arguably, that'll be the key word of me talking about my favorite team. Arguably, if he was named Fred Warner, he probably would have won Defensive Player of the Year last year. I'll just say that. Awesome talent, 89 superstar. And then we got the 1st-round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles, a guy that non-biased Philadelphia Eagle people, just draft people, had him as a blue-chip player in 2025 NFL Draft. He becomes a Philadelphia Eagle. All indications that he's going to start as off-ball linebacker, 90 speed, 90 acceleration, 82 tackle, 82 block shed, 88 hit power, 84 pursuit, can drop back into coverage, 74 power move, 71 finesse. He can rush the passer, a true hybrid, do-it-all player. He's going to be a beast. I can't wait to see what him and Zach Bond can do in the middle of this defense. I can't wait to see anything. I've not done any videos for my Philadelphia Eagles in Madden 25. It is now time to get to our first Philadelphia Eagles Madden rebuild. Let's get it. Mid-season, we are 6-3, which I think for the Eagles' high standards is probably about the floor of where you'd want to be. The Commanders are also very good, both tied atop with 6 wins. We played one more game. I'd like to think, we get another Commanders game in, we'll get that win, put the L on the record, at least, kind of break even, all things considered. But we're playing pretty well. Offense is playing really, really well. Defense rankings not the best. Could be better. Looking at free agency, well, this is a pretty tough free agency class because not so much how much salary cap we have. I want to kind of keep the band together. I love Ben Van Sumeren at fullback. One of the more underrated Eagles. The amount of times before he got hurt that you just saw him taking on the lead blocker, the first guy that would have tackled Saquon Barkley. I'm very much a fan of bringing back the fullback. I think if Jihaad Dotson only wants like that type of a contract, 2-year, $5 million deal, absolutely worth it as our wide receiver 3. It's kind of a mystery for Eagle fans because he's made some pretty big catches. Like, basically, Jihaad Dotson got to start Week 18 last year with all of our backups because we rested our starters. He had like 100 yards. And then, like, during the playoff run, couple big catches, big catch in the Super Bowl. Didn't have a lot of catches during the regular season, but he did have like 2 or 3 highlight reel catches. So he just showed that there was confidence there. It shows that there's definitely still talent there. But if you watch any amount of Eagles football, Jalen Hurts has to a fault, like get into a rhythm with you. And until he does, it's not the best type of football because he just goes to the, he almost forces it to the A.J. Browns, Devontae Smiths, the Dallas Goederts of the world. So, yada, yada, yada. Long way of saying, absolutely will keep Jihaad Dotson as a wide receiver number 2. I think most Eagle fans love Kobe Dean. See, I'm at a spot right now where it's like we could bring back Kobe Dean, and then like is $4 million too much for, like, that's not too much for depth, and that gives us an option of Jihaad Campbell maybe potentially making him an edge rusher because no one really knows for sure what position is going to be his best position in the NFL. But I mean, we're in the business, you can't keep everybody. We got Mr. Exciting White, part 2 of the Exciting Whites. We're going to keep Reed Blankenship for 4 years. I really like Dallas Goedert, and we can afford Dallas Goedert, but I kind of think I want to take a realistic approach as an Eagle fan. I think there's 0 chance that he will re-sign with this team, and I think that's very, very likely. So understanding that cuts are going to be coming, understanding that with this $66 million, we still are, at the end of the day, trying to roll over money when we decline the 5th-year option of Jalen Carter to pay him his big extension. We should save as much money as we can. So the interview number 1 goes about as expected. Philly goes 13-4, the 1 seed in the NFC. We win the NFC East for back-to-back years, technically, going from last year's real-life season, which hasn't been done in like 20 years in the NFC. We have the number 1 offense in the NFL. Defensively, a mixed bag, the number 1 rush defense in the NFL. We have just 2 gigantic wins over playoff caliber teams, and especially in the Detroit Lions case, you make the argument that the Lions are the 2nd best team in the NFC. My opinion, I'd go Rams at 2, Lions at 3, and then 4 and 5 is like whatever team pops off. If there's no sophomore slump for Jaden Daniels, you could probably put the Commanders in at 4. I think the Niners have Niners are probably gonna look pretty good next year. I saw that they have like the easiest schedule in the NFL. And they're not that bad, so I think they're going to be in for a big bounce back. But then you got, like the Bucks could get hot, the Cardinals could get hot, teams like that. But either way, I think Philly firmly the top team, and we prove it here, at least in year number 1. And we defeat a very good Detroit Lions team where Jalen Hurts has almost 400 total yards and 3 touchdowns. So Hurts had an excellent season. Saquon Barkley had an excellent season. Jalen Hurts just outside the top 5 in passing yards, 31 touchdowns. Now 18 picks is a little high. Jalen Hurts does not really turn the football over that much, but he also is probably not going to have 41 total touchdowns, so it's just increased output across the board. Excellent season from Saquon Barkley, 1,500 yards and 20 touchdowns, 0 fumbles. Receiving, we get over 1,000 yards, 1,300 yards to be specific, and 8 touchdowns for A.J. Brown, almost 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns for Devontae Smith, 8 and 8 for Dallas Goedert. Saquon with another 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. So over 2,000 yards for Saquon Barkley. That is outstanding. Zach Bond's a tackle machine. Love seeing Sidney Brown and Mukuba both be productive. Mukuba, the rookie, with 4 picks and over 100 tackles. That is sick. We get 9 sacks for Nolan Smith, 9 for Ojomo, 7.5 for Jalen Carter, 6.5 for Jordan Davis, as well as 6 there from Jalix Hunt. I'd say Jalen Carter probably should have a little bit more production there. But all things considered, not a bad year across the board. 9 picks, Quinyon Mitchell. 4 from Mukuba, the rookie, which I love to see. 3 from Cooper DeJean. Exciting Whites with 5 combined picks. So I'm going to be honest. Looking at it, I'd say Jalen Hurts interceptions and Jalen Carter with 7.5 sacks are probably the only 2 stats that I'm a little meh. Everything else, very, very happy with. Jalen Hurts wins his first MVP. Got a Super Bowl MVP, but not regular season MVP, so congrats to that. Unfortunately, Mr. Sirianni, runner-up to Dan Quinn for Coach of the Year. But we did win Offensive Player of the Year and Running Back of the Year for Saquon Barkley, as well as DB of the Year going to Quinyon Mitchell, which he needs a better depth trait than Star, so that's huge. Oh, no. If you know anything, this video, there's going to be a lot of things I'm going to say that are probably only going to resonate with Eagle fans. Of course, they run into the Bucs. At least it's in Philly. Now, Tampa's not a bad team. I think all things equal, if I'm looking at it from a non-biased standpoint, I'm not weighing the Eagles as much. I don't hate the Bucs, man. They got the redemption story of Baker Mayfield, which is awesome. You have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who are two, how can you not dislike them unless your name's Marshawn Lattimore type players. Mike Evans is one of my favorite wide receivers of all time. Vita Vea is awesome. As much as I love the tush push, the Bucs can kind of stop it sometimes. Now everyone kind of puts the reputation like, well, Tampa can stop it. They've stopped it like once or twice, which is better than most teams. But like Tampa's also kind of built to stop the tush push, which is kind of badass, I think, when you think about it. Even though I'm pretty sure they voted to ban it. I'm pretty sure they're on that list. So that's low test. That's a low T type move. Bucs organization. That's on the owners, not Todd Bowles. But for whatever reason, the Bucs have had the Eagles number. There's been, last year we lost in the regular season. We literally were down A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. That game was almost expected to be an L, because, how the hell you win in that game? But then, 2 years ago, we go to the playoffs, get smoked by the Bucs. It's just been, they're a terrible team. Terrible matchup for the Philadelphia Eagles. Todd Bowles is not a particularly great head coach, but he can always and that's what we need. That is what you need. You got to exercise past demons. 48-17, the Eagles. Oh, man. Okay, yeah. Clearly the top two teams here in the NFC as Detroit put similar hurting. Let's see. Jalen Hurts, not a crazy game. Todd Bowles still cooking up schemes. Well, there you go. Hat trick of touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. Saquon had a good game. A.J. Brown over 100 yards. Defensively, what do we got here? 2 sacks of Jomo. Hunt with a sack. Pick from Adoree Jackson. Let's go. And now it's best on best. This is a matchup I want to see. This is a matchup I kind of wanted to see week 1. Before they put Philly versus Dallas, which, I'm fine with that one. Like a full-strength Eagles versus full-strength Lions needs to happen. Let's see. Close but no cigar, man. Jalen Hurts, Nolan Smith. Too much. That wasn't a blowout, but it was, convincing, to say the least. Setting up in Austin. That was one of my favorite games in the regular season last year. Philly against the Baltimore Ravens. 31-16. Jalen Hurts just, this is kind of what I think would happen. I think if it's best on best, for as much as casuals like to dismiss Hurts, I'm taking Jalen Hurts 10 times out of 10 in a close matchup over Jared Goff. You know what I'm saying? That was just, everything worked. All of our big players came to play. Defensively, Nolan Smith crushed it. Got a bunch of sacks down the line there. I said I wanted 2, probably 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. We have a chance to get 1-1 here in year 1. Which we need, because I think there's a chance we have a couple retirements coming up, and we will regress this offseason. Taking a look at the tail of the tape, very evenly matched. The Ravens actually a higher overall, which is surprising to a degree. But this is the number 1 offense against the number 6 offense. The number 1 rushing offense against the number 4 rushing offense. A very good defense on paper against the number 2 defense from the regular season. This should be a banger. I think, as an Eagle fan, I think this would probably be the Super Bowl I'd want to see next year. Obviously, I want my own team to make the Super Bowl again. And if I think just from a pure entertainment standpoint, what team interests me the most in the AFC? It's not the Chiefs again. That game was awesome between the Eagles and Ravens. That was such a Jalen Carter game as well. Jalen Carter just he had 2 huge TFLs on Lamar Jackson plays where it's I've seen Lamar just make 70-yard touchdown run out of that. It is such an evenly... Look at that. Sidney Brown, the Canadian, the Super Bowl, 61-yard pick. And I think, honestly, like, why I want Baltimore is I just don't think Lamar is a clutch playoff performer. So I think that would be advantage Philadelphia, because I think at minimum, even if you're the biggest Jalen Hurts hater, you have to admit he is a clutch playoff performer. And that would be a huge momentum swing for Philadelphia. But this is a very close matchup. Everything to play for in the fourth. Ooh, minute 59. Can Jalen Hurts and company kill this game off? Or are we going to be able to let Baltimore kick a game-winning field goal? Hopefully not with, you know who. I hope they made the roster changes in this. Here we go, baby. 1-1. This is start. 28-26. Down to the wire. But you can't give the football to Jalen Hurts to say, you can kill this game off. I will say. One of the things that Philly's very good at. Part of that is due to the tush push, because we're going to take the clock down. We're going to go first, second, third down, and guess what? If it's 3rd and 1, if it ends up being 4th and 1 after that, 4th and inches after that, we know what play we're running to keep that clock going and keeping the ball in possession. And that is the beginning of a dynasty here. It's the Philadelphia Eagles, after losing Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Darius Slay, Mekhi Becton. Did it again. Not only did we do it again, but we're giving Jalen Hurts. I think we should give it to Jalen Hurts. Let's double check. His 2nd straight Super Bowl MVP. Jalen Hurts, perfect. Oh, yeah, it's going to go to him. Saquon had 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown had a big game. Defensively, Jalen Carter with a sack. Pick for Sidney Brown. I mean, that was a pretty big interception, but I think it is back-to-back Super Bowl MVPs for Jalen Hurts. Here's a big moment. Not looking forward to retirements. Expectation is Lane Johnson's gone. But the hope... Damn it. Every time, man. Come on, he said he's playing 2 more years. So that means we got to replace him. Did give us a huge jump up in salary cap. We're going to decline the 5th-year option on Jalen Carter. Dude, Dallas Goedert went up to an... Okay, now here's where we're going to decline the 5th-year option on Nolan Smith. I want to get ahead of that as well. Dude, here's where, like, that breakup for Dallas Goedert. In this scenario, I think with Lane retiring, can kind of shuffle Lane's money on Dallas Goedert. With Dallas going up to an X-Factor. You know what I'm saying? I think we find a happy medium here. Still, we will lose Nakobe Dean and Azeez Ojulari, both dev trade players. We got to think a little bit smarter about those guys. Well, just because I didn't even highlight them, because everyone else played better and maybe overshadowed by Mukuba a little bit. Jihaad Campbell. How did he play his rookie campaign? Especially if we're letting Nakobe Dean leave. 90 tackles, 1 TFL, 1 sack. So obviously not quite Zach Bond, but not a bad, 3 PBUs, forced fumble. Not a brutal season. Definitely could expect more, though, and I hope to get more going forward. Looking at our roster going into the offseason, are we good with like a Cam Williams, Holland Pierce right tackle battle, or is that where we look towards the draft? Same could be said for right guard. Same could be said for, I don't think it's ever too early to look for maybe a Dallas Goedert successor. Defensively, Ojoma played well. Hunt played well. I'm thinking Zach Bond up to an X factor. Q got his dev trait. Mukuba got a dev trait. So, everything's looking pretty good on defense. I think all of our attention goes towards that right-hand side of the O-line this offseason. And we're not spending anything in free agency, so we'll just purely be reliant on the 2026 draft class. So take a look at the final mock draft. Get an idea of who's going where, and maybe more so, who's going to be available at the ass end of the first round. We need guard tackle. I need guard tackle for probably our first 2 picks. Now, the bad news is that there's a run of tackles. Dunker was projected to go in the mid-30s. So, I thought maybe a chance he'd be available first round. Looks like a guy that just would walk right into the Eagles' room. He's going to be gone. Reed Adams at guard, he's going to be gone. He's a legit first-rounder. Caden Green's going to be gone. I scouted Ernest Green at guard, but we do have Spencer Fano at tackle. Unfortunately, I have used him in a rebuild before, but fact of the matter is, especially if I'm getting robbed, I'm telling you right now, Wilson, Dunker, those are all guys that look like they're going to be in the ballpark. They're getting overdrafted, so if Fano falls to me and he's best tackle available, I'm going to pick that guilt-free. So it looks like the final mock draft pretty much held true. Only guy that could have fallen based off of like the draft board and stuff like that was Dunker, but he ended up going 21 to the Cleveland Browns. So we are at pick 32 as your Super Bowl champions, and we are going to run up to the board. Spencer Fano to be our Lane Johnson successor. 21 in true value at pick 32 with the dev trait. Now to the second round. Clearly I need a guard. Is there going to be one worth drafting? Probably not. Oh, we got DJ Campbell. We have Trey Zune. I mean, we can go potentially Campbell from Texas. If we weren't going to go there, I'm trying to think like secondary. We don't even have secondary needs. All right, Mason Thomas has like a pass rush, throwing him in the rotation. He might be BPA. Igbenosin from Ohio State. Very aggressive corner. Like a flag magnet. But also, I mean, that's kind of mentality you like to have in the building there a little bit. Oh, man. I mean, there's tight ends. Jack Velling, potential first rounder. Still on the board out of Michigan State. A run block, A catch in traffic. I think all things equal, maybe this is where we go. Like this could just be trusting the board. 78 in true value at 64. No dev trait, but he's not going to see the field anyway. So maybe that's the best. We're not going to have to worry about dev trait regression because obviously Dallas Goedert's going to play till the end of his 2-year contract. And then you know what? I'm going to draft Trey Zune. Just, best available. Third round, appropriate value. 82 in true value at 86. Powerhouse as well with 94 strength. Another thing to keep note of is some of these wide receivers have absolutely plummeted. Zakarian Branch, Evan Stewart from Oregon. Now, I know those guys are like athletes, but look at Evan Stewart, 6 feet tall, 4.25. Yes, I'll take that. 96 at 96. No dev trait, but that's great speed. Now, here's me just using the info that I do know. Orange has a dev trait, and I need nose tackle depth. So we're going to use that 173. Thank you. Now, take a look at our draft recap. Had a lot of picks. Let trust the board. We got a 70 here in Jamal Haynes from Georgia Tech. Orange 68 with a dev trait. Evan Stewart, just really, really good value to still be available in the third round. Big time athlete, 70 overall. 70 overall for Zune. 70 overall for Velling. And the big get, the one that we needed the most, is Spencer Fano. 74 with a dev trait. Lane Johnson successor. Here's a look as our team lines up year number 2 of this rebuild. Now it's only 5-year rebuild because we got that Super Bowl in year 1. But massive turnover on the right-hand side. We're going to go with both rookies, Zune and Fano. Zune just has a little bit more upside than Tyler Steen. In fact, that Steen's contract's coming up. Zune's on a rookie deal. Makes the most sense to kind of commit to him for his development. But other than that, offense ready to run it back. And I think, only thing I'd like to see different is, Jalen Hurts cut down the interceptions a little bit. As long as we can keep the offensive production where it was a year ago, I'll be very happy with that. Defensively, I want to see Jalen Carter eat a little bit more. Maybe get Jihaad Campbell a little bit more involved. But everything else was very, very acceptable across the board on the defense last season. So, continue the dynasty. 2 straight Super Bowls for the Eagles. 1 in real life. Carries over to year 1 of this rebuild. Let's make it 3 in a row. Interesting. Little adversity. 2-4. And of those 4 losses, like we had the Colts was one of them, right? Split the series with the Giants. Couple bad L's for the 2-time defending champions. Slow start. Offense not great. I mean, it's very early. Those numbers really can't even be overly considered, but not a great start no matter what way you break it down. Looking at our contracts, $94 million. Well, we're going to start out first year with Jalen Carter. We're going to get him on a 4-year, $100 million. That is probably half of what he's actually going to get. I'm not going to complain. Nolan Smith looking, holy Nolan. Don't know if I can pay that. Like this, it's almost like the inverse. Like we're giving Nolan Smith what Jalen Carter should get. Can I pay him though? Let's see. 10.5. Probably wants a little bit more. Jordan Davis, Sidney Brown. I like Sidney Brown. See if we can keep him in the building. Nice. I like the combo of him. And then you got like Ojomo as well. I want to keep him in the building. 3-year, 20. Just under 20. Love that contract. Tanner McKee should be a QB1 somewhere in the NFL right now. But I'm looking at this. I mean, keep the Bulldogs together. Try our best. Going to be in salary cap hell, but don't have too many big contracts coming up after that. Psych. It's actually, we got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean next year. Now, I'm assuming we're probably going to decline that fifth-year option. Decisions. I'm going to be honest. I think we let Nolan Smith walk, and then we maybe go Jihaad Campbell as a pass rusher. Just see if we can get a little bit more out of him there. We'll bring back Jordan Davis. We'll let Nolan Smith walk. That's going to be 100, put that contract, that combined probably gives us enough to re-sign Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell next year. Now, luckily for the back end of the regular season, able to give us a respectable record, 11-6, which is good enough to win the NFC East for a third time in a row. Number one offense, defense, a little bit better, I feel like, than where it was a year ago. Huge win over the Titans in the regular season. Jalen Hurts with a 5-touchdown, nearly 400-yard performance. Hurts, I play this good, please. If you play this good in real life, from here on out, I'm very much going to appreciate it. He is 5th in yards, 2nd in touchdowns, interceptions, still a little high, but not going to be, too harsh there, considering that he's just been automatic, getting us another double-digit rushing touchdowns, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns for Saquon, receiving both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith going over 1,000 yards. The X-Factor, Dallas Goedert, had a hell of a year. Jahan Dotson, not too bad. Even Saquon is getting after it a little bit. Defensively, Zach Bond, tackle, we're just not getting enough out of Jihaad Campbell. I think we're at a spot where he's been a fine middle linebacker. Fine. Maybe we utilize a little bit of that pass rushing skill set going forward. 12 sacks, Nolan Smith. 11.5 of Jomo. 10.5 Jalen Carter. Of course, Nolan Smith's going to have his little bit of a breakout here. And, in a perfect world, we could find a way to re-sign him. But at the end of the day, if you told me that I have some dogs that can get after the quarterback, and now I got to choose between a position where we have depth, a position where someone like Jihaad Campbell could pass rush, and we want to be intrigued by that, and have him on a rookie deal rush the passer versus Nolan Smith rush the passer for $120-some million. And then push comes to shove, do you value an undersized freak edge rusher? Or do you value a 6'6", and he's closer to 350 pounds, ladies and gentlemen, nose tackle who can get you 8 TFLs and 8 sacks? So Jordan Davis has demonstrated, I think, irreplaceable value for this team right now. I love seeing, look, that vanilla gorilla, Ty Robinson with 4 sacks. Pretty sick. 5 picks to Jean, 4 for Sidney Brown. Hell of a year. Even though, unfortunately, Q has significantly less turnovers than he did last season. It is a second straight NFL MVP for Jalen Hurts. Congratulations. He also gets quarterback of the year, and Saquon Barkley gets running back of the year. Now, like last season, we got to run the gauntlet. We start in the wildcard round against the New York Giants, who have been a favorable playoff opponent for the Philadelphia Eagles. But you never know. This would be a classic. Let's have them win. Oh, it wasn't even close. 35-6. Beat the brakes off him. Hat trick of sacks from Jalen Carter and Saquon Barkley. Shayshawn Barkley. $150, 2 tuds. There's another interesting matchup. It hasn't really been the same since post-Legion of Boom, post-Russell Wilson. But Seattle, much like Tampa, if you're not a super, you just kind of know about the Eagles, and you're not an Eagles fan, I would say non-rivals, if you look at who are the most, not necessarily annoying teams. If you go annoying teams, you got to throw the 49ers in there. But the two teams that Philly has just struggled against. You could almost probably put the Cardinals in. The Cardinals, Seahawks, and Bucks are the 3 teams we just don't have a lot of luck with. And here we go in the division round, having to go on the road to the 12th man against a very good defense. McDonald got them dudes playing. This is going to be tough. Well, classic. At least we're not on the end of our number one defense allowing 45 points. Would have lost my mind. Shout out Bukayo Saka, just scored a goal for Arsenal, go up 2-1 over. Oh, it's offside! Anyways, I digress. 45, just absolute belt to ass. Detroit couldn't do their job to make it a rematch in the championship game. It is a 3rd straight NFC championship game appearance. Really hasn't done that since the Andy Reid years. 360 yards, touchdown and pick from Jalen Hurts. I also had the rushing touchdown. Saquon almost 100 yards. A.J. Brown unstoppable. Almost 200 yards receiving in the playoff game. We got a second half of Jomo. Jihaad Campbell starting to, we're starting to introduce him a little bit more as a pass rusher. I think that's where he is going to hit the ground here. And Sidney Brown with an interception as the Eagles. Viking, hey, one of my best football memories of my life was an Eagles-Vikings NFC Championship game. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Oh, they got us. No, 4 touchdowns, J.J. McCarthy. No. Damn. Hell of a game. 3 touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. I wasn't expecting to realistically win the Super Bowl every year. Oh, man, it wasn't even really that close. 10-point win by the Vikings. You just can't let J.J. McCarthy go for 4 touchdowns. The run game was on point. It's one of those just, they were way more efficient. It wasn't like they had a whole lot more yards. A little bit better. Again, I love seeing Jihaad Campbell starting to, pick up the pace as a pass rusher for what the future may hold. Sidney Brown's been incredible, getting a turnover every game. But, hey, kudos to the Vikings for ending our dynasty for now. We'll be back next year. And for whatever it's worth, we did lose to the eventual Super Bowl champion. So that's at least something. And I think for the Eagles, this is going to be our way forward. We're going to decline Quinyon Mitchell's deal. We're going to let Nolan Smith walk. Bryce Huff walk, Keely Ringo walk. All these dudes are going to go. We're gonna move Jihaad Campbell to be a pass rusher. I think that's going to work out. So just for curiosity standpoint, Jihaad Campbell's currently an 82 inside linebacker, but when we move him to left outside, he's probably going to go down. I'd be surprised if he's below an 80. But I think we might be getting hit with a 2-point regression here. Let's see. Actually, we got to work on making maybe a little bit more of a pass rusher, all his upgrades. But, all right, this should work. Here we get the final mock draft. We're in an interesting position. Honestly, our team has no real holes. And without having to, completely look down the line and let's get a successor in place, we just need a middle linebacker. Someone to take over Jihaad Campbell's spot. And, Sammy Brown's the top middle linebacker. He's going 21. We're going 29. We're not going wide receiver, I'll tell you that. So we're going to have our pick of the next best linebacker. Got a couple in mind. We have Torian York from A&M, who's a legit first rounder. Also scouted from Georgia, which is probably more of a Howie Roseman pick. Raylan Wilson. Both would play the same role. Honestly, I'll go with the best athlete. Wilson has A zone, A tackle, B pursuit, B block set. Now this is being compared to some edge rushers, which are going to make him look good. 4'6", 4'5'9" in that bubble. Not really any great stats outside. Great jumping, elite change of direction, great speed. But if York is a lot better athlete, we will probably have to consider it. Elites. Honestly, not too different, but I think the 3-cone 20-yard shuttle is the difference maker here. So we're going to go with York, who ends up being number 15 in true value at 29 with a depth trade. Let's go. Now, I am looking at, future regression. I'm going to, kind of do Howie Roseman here. We have KJ Bolden, the safety from Georgia. Pretty good player, but Reed Blankenship is, probably at his ceiling to have a rookie here with a dev trade on the books. Future-proofing a little bit. Now, looking at a draft recap. Top-heavy class. Just kind of fill out the rest of the depth chart here to round it out. But 72 depth trait for KJ Bolden. 74 depth trait for York, who's going to start alongside Zach Bond in the middle of our defense. We got hits where we needed to. Mixed results again at midseason. 3-3, battling for above 500. Now, we just had the bye. So the bye will screw up all of your stats because, you're basically taking a week off, which will tank your offensive stats. I think we're obviously a lot better than probably where we're at. But, you never know. Everyone's kind of getting older. A.J. Brown's getting older. Jalen Hurts is getting over. Regression, doesn't wait for anybody. So the defense is kind of carrying the load right now. Our 93 overall offense needs to pick it up on the backstretch of the season. $71 million. Oh, no. Oh, this is not looking good. In what world is... Cooper DeJean is 2 years younger. We got to give Coop. Not too far away. Got to get Q. Not too far away. There's just zero chance. Hey, okay. I mean, we've been preparing for guard to leave. I can't. Okay, no, we gotta. Maybe if we get a nice bump up in terms of salary cap, I'd like to keep Jalen Hunt, but I think with that $7 million, we should be able to get both Quignon and Cooper DeJean. I do not look forward to our salary cap for years 4 and 5 of this rebuild. Year 5 we're gonna be hurting. All right, so about $1 million more gets Cooper DeJean to sign. Let's see, all Quignon Mitchell. Can I get you with the old +2/+2, which we can? Let's go. So the interview number 3, we go 12-5. All in all, we're being, right after our bye, 3-3, 500, finishing 12-5. Pretty good. But we're also on paper like the best team in the league, so we probably should be like cakewalking to the 1 seed. But look at all the ratings from top to bottom. Our most complete season yet. Everything is in the green. We win the NFC East we'll stop referencing the Eagles' first real year. We've won the NFC East for the 3rd straight time, which is very difficult to do. Take a look at our player stats. Jalen Hurts, top 3 in passing yards, 25 touchdowns to 8 picks. Little bit of regression there. Same with rushing. Got about 6 less rushing touchdowns than what he's been hitting. Saquon starting to slow down just a little bit. Did get our 2,000-yard receivers. Devontae Smith, who I think absolute robbery that he lost his superstar dev trait. Maybe he'll get that back this season. But Smitty and A.J. Brown have been awesome in this rebuild. Dallas Goedert, what's going to be his final year as an Eagle, goes out with a very strong season. Defensively, Bond, tackle machine. I mean, all these dudes doing exactly what they need to. But look at this. Jalen Carter, 13 TFLs, 14 sacks, 13 TFLs, 12.5 from Jihaad Campbell, finding new life as a pass rusher. Ojomo with a big-time season. Solid year for Jalen Hunt. That's exactly why I want to try our best to bring him back. Sacks kind of plummeted a little bit for Jordan Davis after paying him, which is a little frustrating, but still not a brutal year with 16 TFLs, 3 sacks for a nose tackle. 4 picks, Sidney Brown, 3 from Quignon Mitchell, 2 for Cooper DeJean, and a couple singles there for the safeties. You only end up with 2 award winners as Jalen Hurts wins quarterback of the year for the 2nd straight season, and we get kicker of the year going to Jake Elliott. And what better matchup in the wildcard round than to send the Dallas Cowboys home crying? I did take a look. They have DJ Lagway from Florida. That'd be absolute worst case scenario for me as a Eagles and Gators fan. Anytime Gator, can we just stay out of the NFC East, please? That's all I asked for. Had to deal with it with Jordan Reed going to the freaking Commanders. Had to deal with it with, just a bunch of dudes. Just annoyingly, Ricky Pearsall going to the 49ers. Like, can we have other teams I just don't care about for better or for worse? Go start stockpiling some Florida Gators. DJ Lagway going to Dallas, I would be sick to my stomach. But that's a rookie. They got a rookie quarterback going up against probably the most, that's exactly what we want to see. 52 points, 5 touchdowns for Jalen Hurts, bunch of turnovers for Jalen Carter. Sean All, just an outstanding performance. 52 points. DJ Leg, that's a hell of a debut for a rookie quarterback. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Run game was on point. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley doing the damn thing. Saquon actually had a hell of a game. Surprised he didn't get player of the week. Defensively, Zach Bond, tackle machine, couple sacks. Got the pick, Sidney Brown, who's been incredibly clutch getting turnovers in the playoffs. And we get a rematch of last year's divisional playoff game, except this time Seattle is traveling to the Link. Look at the Seahawks. They don't have much going on at a particularly high level overall, but look at their individual performances. Kenneth Walker, almost 1,600 rushing yards, over 1,000 for JSN, 6 picks for Devin Witherspoon. Like, they got some dogs there. Not enough. 40 bomb. We are on fire offensively. Saquon Barkley, 180 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Hunt, who again, do not want to see leave. The amount of fumbles that our defense is creating is kind of scary. 40-29, huge first half by the Philadelphia Eagles, and credit where credit's due. Sam Darnold for 400 yards is impressive, no matter what way you cut it, but we were just kind of able to kill the game off. Defensively, the fumbles, 2 sacks, Jihaad Campbell, Quignon Mitchell with the pick. Vic Fangio got them boys playing. And with this win, we are back to another NFC Championship game. It's the heavyweight bout. The 1 seed, the first round by Detroit Lions. We got to go on the road to Ford Field against the 14-3 Lions. Top 5 offense, number 1 defense. This should be a banger. Do not want to lose 2 straight NFC Championship games. And we did not. Beautiful. 29-10, Jalen Hurts and Jalen Carter. Solid performances. Nothing too, can't really be too braggadocious there. We got, we just, shut up shop. Only allowed a field goal in the second half, considering how desperate the Lions would have been in that point. It's outstanding job by the defense. Game ball goes to the defense. Jalix Hunt with a sack. Jihaad Campbell, Jomo, Jordan Davis, Marvin Jones Jr., the pass rusher. No relation to the pretty good Detroit Lion of the same name. And with that, we are back in a Super Bowl that we have seen before. Our first Super Bowl win, way back in year one, was over the Baltimore Ravens. It has been a year off, and then we decided, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead, let's run this one back. Tail of the tape. The Eagles are the super team. 93 overall, 95 offense, 91 defense. Better in every single category than the 12-5 Baltimore Ravens, who did have the number one overall offense, the number one rushing offense, and a top 10 defense. So this should be a close game. They're going to want to try to get revenge. But to a man, to a scheme, to a coach, advantage Philly. You never know. I'm not going to get, hey, if they get one, we got to make it best of 3. We get this one, it's kind of like the UFC. Like maybe you look at moving up or down a weight class here, Baltimore. But over the drive, Baltimore strikes first. Philadelphia, onus on them to reply. We get a field goal. Another drive, though, in the red zone. Should be able to punch this one in for a touchdown, which we do. Go ahead, lead tied. 10-10 ball game, final drive. Hopefully the first half goes to the Eagles for a field goal attempt. Well, we got kicker of the year, Jake Elliott. So if we have a couple clutch kicks getting made, there ain't anybody that does it better than us. But Baltimore get a touchdown to end the first half. And nothing going in the third. Red zone drive by the Philadelphia Eagles to kick off the fourth quarter. Big play to Saquon Barkley. Touchdown Philadelphia. 3-point lead on the defense here. Oh, I thought they were going to go for a field goal. They went for it on 4th down, and it paid off. Touchdown Ravens. Under 3 minutes to go for Philadelphia. And we turn the ball over. We go for it on 4th down in our own territory. Hopefully we can hold to a field goal. Minute 51. Here's what we're gonna go play. Trying to get what I said is our target for today's video. With the Eagles, a little bit different standards. I wanted 2 Super Bowls. Kind of wanted 3 when all is said and done. And what we need is a huge drive here from the Birds to force overtime. Or maybe even have get a little Doug Peterson Philly special. Go for the 2-point, try to win it in regulation. Boom, there we go. Shot play, A.J. Brown, 17 yards. Don't love these run plays. But we're controlling the clock. 15 yards to Jahan Dotson. Oh, no. Oweh with the sack. This is not good. This is really, really not good. Final play of the game. Let's see if I can. I want to see if I can get this to overtime. We already won our Super Bowl, so it's not that cheesy. We go deep pass. Post rail. Then I want Smitty on a slant. Watch Saquon out the backfield. Come on, boys. Oh my God, we had Saquon. Shit! Best of 3. We'll be back. Will you? That's my question to the Ravens. We'll be back. Will you? Best of 3? Now look at the state of our roster as we end the season. I'm actually going to pick up the 5th-year option for Jihaad Campbell. It's that 22.5 is probably going to be less than what a contract extension. We just need him for 1 more year. We'll let Dallas Goedert walk. I would love to bring back Jalix Hunt. I round that up. 3-year, $42 million. Let's go. Locked in. But we are going to have to replace a couple dudes. A lot of depth going away. It's not the end of the world. But RB2 has been Will Shipley. Wide receiver 3 has been Jahan Dotson. Now, I did draft Jack Velling at tight end in the 2nd round to succeed Dallas Goedert, so we kind of have that in place. But he does have a dev trait. So I'd say really at any of these 3 positions, looking towards the draft, BPA falls in one of these 3. That's where we're going to go. Take a look at our final mock draft of real players. We are going to be waiting quite some time. Looking for depth at our skill positions. So we're going to be looking at wide receiver, running back, tight end. If tight end ends up being BPA, we are picking way down here at 31, which honestly looks like we're going to have the pick of the litter at tight end and running back. So on pick 31 in the first round, how we scout. Yes, that is, ooh, dude, top 5 talent in Harlem Berry, the running back out of LSU. Damn. But, and we also have 2 legit tight ends here. Lincoln Cure's even better than Trey Green. Interesting. What do you got, wide receiver? You know what? I think all things considered, I'll go Harlem Berry at running back. Did draft Jack Velling. He's like a 76, looking for the most of an opportunity. You can work with that. Harlem Berry ends up being number 2 in true value at 31. And now you got to throw that in the 3-headed attack of Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. Good luck stopping that. Wow, and with that, actually, we get the pick of the litter at tight end. I take back what I said about Jack Velling. I'm going to go with the legit first-round tight end that's still on the board. 12th in true value, Lincoln Cure. The rich get richer. 2 absolute steals for the Philadelphia Eagles. We also we got Vernell Brown, Florida Gators, fringe 5-star, almost a 4-star, 20-year-old wide receiver. So all 3 of the positions that I highlighted, we got very good players. We got Justice Terry from Texas as well. 71 defensive tackle with a dev trait. So across the board, just finessing this 2028 draft class. Harlem Berry, Lincoln Cure, Vernell Brown, Justice Terry, all dev traits. Let's freaking go. Something different for once at the midway point of year number 4. We're finally not having a trash record. 6-1, a very hot start. Just completely owned the state of Texas. Texans, 48-17 win, 36-19 over the Cowboys. And that's to look at our salary cap. Ooh, 106. Ooh, Jesus. Okay, another not great situation. Well, we got to start with the quarterback. Oh, no. Jalen Hurts, 4-year, 300. Oh, my God. I don't think we're too far off. I don't think we can pay Mukuba $100 million. I think Sidney Brown's a lot more reasonable. 2-year, $12 million. I think we keep Devontae Smith in the building. And thank God we got our Super Bowl win in. I'll say that. Jesus. So thanks about another $1 million to get Jalen Hurts to sign. But 0 chance. Mukuba's going to walk. Mailata's going to walk. Dickerson's going to walk. Saquon's going to... Oh, my God. Yep. I mean, it was inevitable. At some point, this was going to happen. And I think we're lucky that it's happening going into the final year of the rebuild and not like year 2. 23-20 loss to the Detroit Lions. Arguably our biggest rival from the NFC side. That ended up being the only thing stopping us from a perfect regular season. 16-1. And for what we're about to lose in the this is the final hurrah. We still should be probably pretty good going forward, but we are going to take quite a step back. We finished with a win over the Giants with a Jalen Hurts Player of the Week performance. 16-1. Jalen Hurts, yards fell way off, but top 5 in touchdowns. Saquon crushed it, 1,400 yards, 15 tutties. Jalen Hurts crushed it, 600 yards, 11 touchdowns. Harlem Berry, the number 2 overall rookie, getting involved as well. So our rush offense was pretty scary. We still got our 2,000-yard receivers here in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, so I could totally with that. Kieran Vernell Brown, not with terrible seasons. Over 100 tackles for Zach Bond. We get 17.5 sacks for Jihaad Campbell. That is exactly the gamble and payoff we want to see, moving him from off-ball linebacker to more of a pass rusher. 13.5 for Jalen Carter, 13 for Ojomo, 10 for Jalen Hunt, 6.5 for Jordan Davis. 4 picks. Quinyon Mitchell leading the team. Maybe biasly, like to see maybe Cooper Jean get a little more active. Jalen Hurts wins his 3rd MVP of the video. Nick Sirianni gets Coach of the Year for the very first time. Outside of that, we have Jalen Hurts getting Quarterback of the Year, Saquon Barkley getting Running Back of the Year, and fitting and awesome for, he's the thumbnail, he's the face of this draft class. Jihaad Campbell gets Linebacker of the Year. We just keep getting all the tricky opponents. The best, greatest hits of teams that annoy the Eagles. We get the Bucs at home, 16-1. It'd be fitting for them to ruin this season. the way they ruined the end of Jason Kelsey's career, but we were able to squeeze by there. 31-20 with a Player of the Week performance from Jalen Hurts. Also kind of cool, we did a Bears offseason rebuild, the last one on Friday. Go check that if you hadn't. Shamar Turner, who's like a 68 normal, ended up being incredible for our Bears rebuild. Like he got 41 TFLs one year. So pretty cool that seeing outside of just focusing and making a video as the Bears, that Shamar Turner is also popping off. He's the sleeper of all sleepers if you guys are using the Ultimate Rookie mod. And that's who we get. We get to see him right away in the NFC Championship game. I mean, we saw the Bears. Bears are good. Man, we won a Super Bowl. That was a successful rebuild. Got that within 5 years. Javon Dexter popped off. Caleb Williams is really good. Look at that offense. Top 5 offense in the league. Also, pretty damn good defensively. This should be a close battle. But it wasn't really. Ooh, there's levels to it. 29-7. Both players of the week. Modest performances, but still dominating across the board. It looks like, I'm going to take a guess, we're going to play the Broncos in the Super Bowl. And that's exactly who we get. The 12-5, 86 overall Denver Broncos. Run the football well. They have the number 2 defense in the NFL. Nick Bonito with 13 sacks. A Hufanga who had a hell of a year. Pat Surtain, who just may be the best corner in the NFL. I mean, I don't want to lose another Super Bowl back to back. So let's go get a win with the final hurrah of this Eagles core for the final year. Come on, man. You lose to the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, I get it. You can't lose to Sean Payton and the Broncos. This needs to be one that we kind of flex our muscles here a little bit. Understand the circumstance that we are about to be severely depleted. Let's prove we're the best team. We got 3 points in the first half. There we go. Touchdown. Let's put the pressure on. Touchdown. 10-point lead. Denver scores. Okay, it's going to come down to the wire. I appreciate that. Final drive. Bo Nix. Hell of a drive, Bo Nix. Not enough. Let's go. Ugly. I'd rather, and would much rather, with, Mailata, Dickerson, all those. Oh man, we were losing so many good players. I would have rather, like, a 40 bomb. All these guys playing their best, but you know what? This is a collective group coming together, ensuring that we could go 3-0 in the playoffs. 19-1. One loss against Detroit from a perfect season, which would have been pretty badass, and I don't think we're going to have any chance at trying to do that year 5. But, I mean, hell yeah, dude. Now the Super Bowl win. 2 win. That's what I said. I needed 2. 1 at 3. We've been to 3 Super Bowls. Who's getting the MVP here? Jalen Hurts, pretty good show. I mean, that's all he does is play well in the Super Bowl. Devontae Smith had a great game defensively. Jalen Carter with 2 sacks in the TFL. A pick from Mukuba, who's about to leave, cash out in free agency. You know what? All things equal, I think we're probably giving a 3rd Super Bowl MVP to Jalen Hurts. Oh, no. Vic Fangio retired. No, he saw the writing on the wall. Okay, who are we hiring? Christian Parker was the former DB coach here in Philly. I think that might make the most sense, unless there's someone that's like, oh my God, we got to hire that guy. Yeah, right. Sean Desai. Terrible. I think Antonio Pierce. You got Lou. Jesse Minter would be pretty badass. You got Bob Sala, Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilkes. But you know what? I think we go in-house. I think Eagles staff speaks very highly of Christian Parker. It's his turn to take over Vic's defense. No, I mean, I've just been running Sirianni because I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in this Madden scenario that we'll just run his offense. I had Mike McDaniel as our OC. Whew. We need a new OC here. Who do we got? Davis Webb. Oh, my God. Nate Scheelhaas, who I think actually interviewed with the Eagles. You think Brian Johnson's ready to get a career redemption? You got Brian Hartline, a.k.a. Mr. Greatest wide receiver recruiter of all time in college football. Oh, you know what? Kellen Moore could come back. I'm going to say, you know what? All things equal. Come back, Doug. Let's get the Dougler back here. Hoping maybe some of those pending free agents were like Mailata could retire. Wouldn't be shocking. He's like 32. The only one is Vic. So that sucks because we're going to have to go watch all those other guys play for another team to finish out this video, which sucks. Salary cap did not jump at all. So we got no money. Brutal. Oh, excuse me. Actually, I have $43 million that came out of nowhere. Well, Jordan Mailata wants $44 million a year. So that's not happening. Okay, maybe we'll try and get Landon back in Mukuba. Shit. Oh, can't. There we go. We got Landon back. Obviously, push comes to shove, I'd probably prioritize my lot. I just literally could not afford him. So he's going to the Colts, and Mukuba joins the Niners. But with our money, remaining money, can we like replace any of these guys? So my lot on the open market, we got 14 million bucks. I mean, Josh Connolly was a guy Philly brought in for a top 30 visit. And then at safety, I mean, we drafted KJ Boulder from Georgia, dev trait safety. He could probably just take over that role. So let's see if we can get. There we go. Connerly rounds it out. Let's rock and roll. Fuck off. I can't say we didn't prepare for this. That's why we drafted Harlan Berry. He was the number 2 overall rookie in last year's class. He's going to have gigantic shoes to fill to replace Saquon. But, I mean, all things considered, not huge steps back on the offensive side of the ball. Like, A.J. Brown regressed to the fact that, he lost his X factor, but still 95 overall with the boost. 93 for Smitty. Barrett, 81. I mean, it will be a drop-off. Hopefully not a gigantic drop-off. Able to bring back Landon Dickerson, keep the O-line together, bring in Josh Connerly at left tackle. Huge. That's obviously going to be, a substantial downgrade. But we still got, an upside player that could finish next year as like an 80+ for the playoff run. You can get by with an 80 overall left tackle. On the defensive side, we lose Mukuba, but that just means Bolden needs to step up. And I think going into this draft, I don't know how Jihaad Campbell's not a superstar. Did he get it and then lose it? He had huge production. Linebacker, wow, just a robbery of dev trade. But I think we go into this, we need a nickel corner. Nickel corner, and we're ready to go. Run it back for year 5. Look at the final mock draft. I will say, out of curiosity, Kamani Leonard, he's going 6. Easily looks like the best corner in the class. 6'4", crazy grades at it, but he's going 6. There's no way I'm going to be able to trade up there. But I did focus scout. I would like to think I found the other best corners in this class. And we got Higgins, who's a top 5 talent, first rounder in TAP, and a first, second round in Overton. How I found these guys? Very simple. Overton had B-Man, C play rec, C press. Well, he's probably pretty good. Checked out. For TAP, very similar. He had A zone, C man. Anytime you have anybody that has A's or the double B's, like it's not, it's not rocket science. A man, B. I mean, Leonard looks really, really good. Where's Higgins going? That might be like a realistic trade up. Because he's probably going, in the 20s. We're picking at 32, but it's the final year of the rebuild, so we can get a little aggressive. He's going 16, so I'm going to call. Let's see what Detroit wants to do. If he's still on the board there. Psych, couldn't even follow the goddamn board. Goes to the 49ers. I hate the Niners. So we are unable to get aggressive for a top corner. I mean, we've still got a legit one here in Max Tap. A zone. We are a zone defense, but he's absolutely one of those guys that's going to be like a 75 normal. Yep. If he's 75 normal, that's actually hilarious. But we're in this unique position where we only need corners, so let's take another swing at a first, second rounders in Overton. Little bit better combine, so he might have a dev trait. No, okay, no, all right. Yeah, let's see, we got 7. Oh, at least say he's 1 point better. Thought 75 normal, 76 normal. We get 74 normal on Overton, a 71 center. Just out of curiosity, like the other 2 DBs. One I was never going to trade up for in Leonard, who is a 78. I mean, who cares about the depth? This is a guy that is completely unattainable. It's going to be the guy that the Niners took. Hopefully, he's, we got 76 normal. Hopefully the Niners guy is in the ballpark. And Higgins is 78. Please be star. Okay. I can live with it, I guess. Not brutal. Still annoying. Strong class, though, man. They got an 81 quarterback that went 12th. 82 safety. 84 running back, Nick Barnett. Beast. But how does a 81 QB, franchise QB, 97 throw power fall to pick 12? What do you got? I mean, limited depth chart, but I don't care. 97 throw power. What a get for Atlanta. Here we go, our 5th and final year. How this is lining up, well, I feel good. I think we survived. Definitely not as good as we were a year ago, but we survived the losses of Saquon Barkley and Jordan Mailata to the point that I don't think we're going to, those guys are going to be liabilities. I think Barry, high ceiling, very optimistic he's going to play well, and I think Connerly's just not going to be a turnstile, which is sick. Defensively is where I think as a collective, adding like 2 very nice DBs, even though there's no dev traits there, they're high ceiling, high floor players. Front 3 is going to be terrifying. Jihaad Campbell's fully unlocked as a pass rusher. Bolden's got to step up in that Mukuba role. Optimism very high, though, that we're going to be able to finish this out to try to get that target of 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. To win them. So that would be to make 4 Super Bowls in 5 years. Now, at the end of year number 5, well, we remain pretty good. Not enough to get the first round bye, not 16-1. I think that's probably the difference between this year's team and last year's team. Last year's team 16-1. This year's team, can't blocked by the webcam, but he's 12-5. We end up with a number 1 offense, number 3 defense. So shout out Christian Parker for maintaining that high level that we had with Vic Fangio. No real drop off. Jalen Hurts killed it again. Just outside top 5 in touchdowns, top 3 in passing touchdowns. 11 picks, a little bit higher than what we've seen. Harlan Berry stepped up. It's a great year. Good 1-2 punch. All 3 of our running backs. Not a huge drop off, losing Saquon Barkley. A.J. Brown crushed it. Now, full disclosure, did give him the opportunity. It's been a lot of Smitty in the slot. I want A.J. Brown in the slot. Get up there in age a little bit. Maybe that could be what happens in real life. 105 catches, 1,600 yards, and 19 touchdowns. Over 1,008 for Devontae Smith. Kira tight end was solid. Defensively, Zach Bond has been a machine. 14 sacks, Jalen Carter. 17 TFLs, 10 sacks from Ojomo. Hunt was solid. A little bit of a down year from Jihaad Campbell. We got 4 picks, Quinion Mitchell. 3 from Cooper DeJean. 3 from Sidney Brown. Jalen Hurts wins his 4th MVP, as well as quarterback of the year. A.J. Brown wins offensive player of the year, as well as wide receiver of the year. Unfortunately, though, Jihaad Campbell, who was linebacker of the year last year, didn't even make the short list. Kind of sucks. Because we know this is our final playoff run, let's take a look at what we were able to accomplish in this video. And Jalen Hurts is sitting at 35,000 yards passing, 238 touchdowns to 99 picks on the dot, on top of 2 more Super Bowl MVPs, 4 NFL MVPs. He has been incredible. Also, 6,000 yards rushing and another 100 rushing touchdowns. So that puts him well over 4,000 total yards, well over 300 total touchdowns. An absolute beast. Receiving, we got almost 14,000 receiving yards for A.J. Brown, 94 touchdowns, just under 10,000 receiving yards, and 71 touchdowns for Devontae Smith. So, I mean, as an Eagle fan that has suffered through Eagles rebuilds the last couple of years where, honestly, you see neither one of A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith get 1,000 yards. Very happy we were able to maintain that, and they were ballers and played up to their talent level in this video. Zach Bond over 1,000 tackles. Obviously did almost all of that with the Philadelphia Eagles. Barely got on the field as a Saint. Exciting white Reed Blankenship, just under 1,000 total tackles. We got 70 sacks on 88 TFLs for Jalen Carter, 54.5 sacks from Ojomo, which is all we could hope for him as a successor for Milton Williams. 39 sacks for Jihaad Campbell, 37 for Jalix Hunt, 31 on 71 TFLs for Jordan Davis. And we got 21 picks, Quinion Mitchell, 16 Sidney Brown, 14 Cooper DeJean, and 12. So, I mean, over 20, almost 30 for the exciting whites. Now we get an opportunity to end this video the most frustrating way humanly possible. The Dallas Cowboys just beat us 2 weeks ago in the regular season. Can they send us home after all the memes of me saying when we lose in any rebuild early in the playoffs, we're pulling a Dallas Cowboy? Come on. I'll just give me this one win. Even if we lose next week, just give me the one. And it's ugly, 50-10, but it is a win. It is a win. Anthony Richardson is the new quarterback for New York, but Jalen Carter with a hat trick of sacks was not going to let us fall short to the Dallas Cowboys. As we now move on into the divisional round against the 10-7 LA Rams, who are very good. #1 offense against the #2 offense. Defensively, big advantage to the Eagles. See what we can do. Yes, no wet fire. Whoa, that is clutch. 31-30. We get a hat trick. Passing touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. A rushing touchdown. We're going to ignore the fact that Higgins, the corner that we wanted, had 2 picks for the 49ers. We're going to ignore that. Because hopefully we're going to have Jalen Hurts picking on him in this round. But 31-30. That is a fourth quarter comeback for Jalen Hurts. Put up 16 points, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Outstanding effort. A.J. Brown went off 131 yards, 2 tutties. No sacks, which is concerning. No sacks or turnovers. We're going to need these guys to show up if we want any chance taking down the 1 seed San Francisco 49ers, who went 13-4 this season. Gigantic discrepancy in just the overalls. But they are playing pretty well. Offensively, they kind of suck. So this is a game that we do lose. If they score like 35, 40 points, that'll be very, very frustrating. I think the only way the Niners win is that this is an incredibly ugly performance. Super Bowl on the line for the Eagles. 4 Super Bowls in 5 years. Let's go! 20-14. A Moro Ojomo Player of the Week performance. I mean, we got the close win. Okay, could have been a little bit more dominating. And then we get another close win. We get the Bengals, who kind of belt-ass teams in the AFC side of the bracket. But in this one, I don't want to say out-dueled, but neither quarterback really had a strong game. Run game was non-existent, and it was the defense that showed up. Jalen Carter, 2.5 sacks. Hunt, Ojomo getting after it. Defense scoring points. And the Philadelphia Eagles get to round out this video with a chance at our 3rd Super Bowl. The 12-5 Cincinnati Bengals, 88s across the board. So not a bad team at all. Top 5 offense, #2 passing offense, #5 rushing defense. So I'm not going to say necessarily they match up well. Joe Burrow, only 27 passing touchdowns, so it's not like the nuclear Joe Burrow Bengals offense that we've seen in our own Bengal rebuilds. This should be a good game. We'll say for Bengal fan, just saw Shamar Stewart's an X factor. So he is, at least in the Madden world, developed into the project player, high ceiling player that he was, that got him drafted in the first place. But here we go. Joe Burrow against Jalen Hurts. Literally, I think that that's probably one of the more highly debatable, because that's all I got to talk about is that debate, because this is belt to ass right now for the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, when you're rating the top quarterbacks in the league, it's kind of like, who do you like more, Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts? Because Joe Burrow statistically very good. Unfortunately, hasn't been able to propel an all-star offense to compensate for a bad defense. And then you got Jalen Hurts, who's like in that same spot. It's like, who you put in your top 5? Jalen Hurts, stats are good. Not Joe Burrow level, but he doesn't have to throw the football 50 times like Joe Burrow does. And then, let's go, 4 Super Bowls, baby! 3 Super Bowls. 4 Super Bowl appearances. We get the 3. The debate, obviously, is like, do you take Jalen Hurts' ability to win like this? This is a perfect way to wrap up my little debate argument here. So you taking, both these guys on superstar offenses, kind of. You take the stats of Joe Burrow as the deciding factor for him to make your top 5, or you take the fact that push comes to shove, Jalen Hurts finds a way to win. Jalen Hurts finds a way here to run the gauntlet and to get his 3rd, well, technically this would be his, 4th Super Bowl in 6 years. I mean, I don't even need to look. MVP, Jalen Hurts. There you go, fellas. Thank you for watching me win all the time with my favorite. It's a rebuild you guys wanted to see. I know we have a lot of Eagles fans, so we had to just, let's get this good one out of the way. They don't need a clear rebuild. But we had a lot of fun. That salary cap from year 4 to year 5 really, I think we did an outstanding job. I think that's the underrated part of this rebuild. So we took, obviously, a super team over, but we had significant losses. We were able to draft ahead of time, draft when we needed to, and get it all done when all is said and done. There's, Jalen Hurts crushed it. 4 MVPs in 5 years. And, it's not uncommon. I rebuild other teams. Jalen Hurts does win the MVP pretty commonly. Definitely not, I don't think, 4 times in a row. Or 4 times in 5 years. And how many times in a row did we get it? 2. Yeah, we won it for year 1, year 2, year 4, year 5. I don't think he wins MVP that much. But he was, incredible talent. And then defensively, got all them boys playing at a very high level. Exciting Whites were killing it. Quinyon Mitchell killing it. Awesome rebuild. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with me on this weekend. Thank you very much for watching. As always, first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section below. Eagles are done. Who is our next offseason rebuild? The plan is to do all 32 teams before we start getting into, college football 26 and the Madden 26 hype. So let me know who we should rebuild in the comments below. The most requested team gets momentum. I got a short list of who I'm going to do, but that's a very fluid short list. And based on who you guys want to see next up, that is who we're going to rebuild. Thank you very much for watching today's video. All the likes and the comments help me in the war against the YouTube algorithm to showcase and get my video out there to more people that are watching the Madden. There's people watching Madden that probably don't even know that I exist. I've been here for 10 goddamn years. So the only way to get this to show up on their computers and phones, I think, is the likes and comments and the stuff like that. And I very much appreciate everyone that leaves that. That's all I ask for in return. And that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out, love ya. Have a good one.